Some of them might be spooky. I don't know. We'll find out. So please.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, and Mr. Toastmaster. How about another round of applause for Sir Lancelot? Notice that you're the only brave one out of all of us that actually wore a costume, so good job, congratulations. Today I will be speaking to you on a subject that's leadership. I want to give you a definition of what this book defines leadership as. Leadership is a process whereby an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. Leadership is a commodity that is highly valued, especially with globalization. Our world, globalization is coming at us at warp speed, and there's a huge need for qualified leaders. Leaders that can think on their feet, leaders that can think cross-culturally, both in a corporate environment and in a community environment. As a result, you can find many books about leadership in bookstores, and you can buy books on this subject, and there are a lot of different approaches to leadership. I have been studying this book that looks at 13 different approaches to leadership. So it comes at you from 13 different angles. Because of time, I am going to look at, well, I'm going to share with you three of those angles. And the first one is servant leadership. This type of leadership tends to contradict itself, because normally when you think of a leader, you think of someone that is being served. In this type of leadership, the leader is the one that becomes the servant. So this type of leader is accustomed to putting the needs of his followers in front of his or her own needs. And some people have a natural ability to be a servant leader, and some others learn this ability. This type of leadership is one that you're not necessarily born with. You might have certain qualities that make you a servant leader, but you can learn to become a servant leader. And can anybody take a wild guess of who would be a good example of a servant leader?
The president of Real Toastmasters.
Robert. Oh, come on, man.
That is a good example, I have to admit.
The vice president of education, Jerry.
That's another good example, absolutely. And I have another
nominated
one.
himself.
Another one would be, has anybody heard of Mother Teresa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Gandhi.
Or Gandhi, yes. And these are examples of people that want to uplift, that want to motivate other people, and they don't have their own agenda up front and center. Okay, now we're going to go to authentic leadership. This is a new type of leadership, and it's still under research. So whatever I say today, can change, because it's still under research and things change as information is released. This is a person who understands their own values, who know who they are, they know what they're doing, and they know where they're going. A good example of an authentic leader would be Nelson Mandela. This person was fighting against apartheid in South Africa, and he was jailed. as we all know, and he was jailed. During his prison sentence, he was offered early release, but he refused. The reason that he was offered an early release if he would change his viewpoint, and he refused to do that, and this resulted in him serving 30 years in prison for what he believed. So this is a person that had his values, and he was not going to move, and he was going to stay steadfast on where he was going. That's Nelson Mandela. That would be a good example of an authentic leadership. Another form of leadership is team leadership. This type of leader is in the driver's seat in order for his team to be effective. In other words, he motivates his team on a one-on-one basis. He also makes his team gel together. He adds cohesion to the team so they can perform at a much higher level. And in this type of leadership, good examples of this type of leadership are found in sports teams. For example, the LA Lakers, they had a lot of talent on their team. And my friend is probably going to get mad at me for mentioning the Lakers because he's not a big fan of them, but that's the facts. There was a coach, his name was Phil Jackson. He came into the Lakers when Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and some other superstars were playing, and they couldn't win a championship because they had no team cohesion. He came in and he turned them, all that talent, into a championship. So that is a good example of a team leader. Also, there's a person by the name of Vince Lombardi who was an excellent team leader. He led the Green Bay Packers to 2 Super Bowl champions, and his style of leadership was based on a team. He was such an influential leader that he actually got the Super Bowl trophy named after him, or they named the Super Bowl trophy after him. So, in conclusion, I have given you a glimpse of 3 types of leadership. And it's important to understand this because with globalization, our world is shrinking, and there is a need for leaders that understand cross-culturally how to lead. This is something that is on the rise. And I hope that you got something out of my presentation and Mr. Toastmaster.
That was a great leadership speech, except that I like the Phoenix song.